There's a $1 item at any dollar store that drops van temperatures by 15 degrees or more. No electricity, no running your engine, no expensive roof units, just a thin reflective sheet that blocks 90% of incoming solar heat before it turns your van into an oven. NASA developed this exact technology to protect astronauts from temperature extremes that would kill an unprotected human in seconds. The same material that shields spacecraft from 500-degree temperature swings now sits on dollar store shelves for less than the cost of a cup of coffee. Van dwellers have used it for decades. Preppers stockpile it by the dozen. Off-grid travelers stretch it across their windows every summer and watch their cooling problems vanish. The material is called a mylar emergency blanket, and it outperforms solutions costing hundreds of times more. Yet walk into any van life shop or RV store and you will find salespeople pushing $300 roof fans, $500 air conditioning units, and expensive window covers. Nobody mentions the $1 alternative that outperforms them all. They did not stop selling this because it failed. They stopped promoting it because it worked too well for too little money. A $1 solution cannot sustain a van accessories industry, and what cannot generate profit must be forgotten. This is the story of the thermal shield, the cheapest cooling technology ever developed, and why the van industry hopes you never discover what NASA knew 60 years ago. Here's the thing about heat in a van that most people fundamentally misunderstand. Your van is not like a house. It is worse, much worse. A house has thick walls and insulation. Your van has thin metal that absorbs heat like a frying pan. The majority of that heat enters through your windows as radiant energy. Sunlight passes through glass almost unobstructed. It strikes surfaces inside your van and converts to thermal energy. That thermal energy cannot pass back through glass as easily, so it accumulates. Your van becomes a metal oven. On a 90-degree day, the inside of an unprotected van reaches 140 degrees within 30 minutes. I have seen van dwellers crack eggs on their dashboards. That is not a joke. That is physics trying to kill you. My grandfather used to say, only a fool fights a battle he could have avoided entirely. He was talking about farming disputes, but he understood the same principle that makes reflective barriers so devastatingly effective for van life. The science is not complicated once you see it clearly. Solar radiation travels from the sun at roughly 1,000 watts per square meter at peak intensity. When this radiation strikes a reflective surface, physics gives it only two options: absorb or reflect. Dark surfaces absorb up to 95% of incoming radiation, converting it directly to heat. That black dashboard, those dark seats, that metal roof, baking in the sun. Reflective surfaces bounce up to 97% of that radiation back into the atmosphere before it ever becomes heat inside your van. A single windshield allows hundreds of watts of continuous heating power into your van on a sunny day. Add your side windows and rear windows and you have the equivalent of multiple space heaters running inside a tiny metal box. Your van is cooking you alive while expensive solutions drain your wallet. Pretty revealing when you actually see the numbers, right? Stay with me, because the history of this technology is where the story gets genuinely remarkable. In the early 1960s, NASA scientists faced an impossible challenge. Spacecraft traveling between Earth and the Moon would experience temperature swings of over 500 degrees. Direct sunlight in space heats surfaces to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Shadow drops temperatures to minus 250 degrees. No conventional insulation could handle both extremes, so NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center developed a radically simple solution. They created thin metallized plastic films that reflected radiant energy in both directions. Heat could not get in during sun exposure. Heat could not escape during shadow periods. The material weighed almost nothing. It cost almost nothing to produce. And it worked better than anything else engineers had ever tested. They called it radiant barrier technology, and it kept astronauts alive through conditions that should have been instantly fatal. Here's what happened next that should make you genuinely angry. The technology NASA developed with taxpayer funding entered the public domain. Anyone could manufacture it. Anyone could use it. By the 1970s, companies began selling emergency blankets made from this material for wilderness survival. They called them space blankets, mylar blankets, or emergency blankets. They cost pennies to produce and sold for $1 to $2 at retail. They weighed 2 ounces and folded to the size of a deck of cards. Hikers carried them for emergency warmth. Marathon runners wrapped themselves to prevent hypothermia. Disaster relief organizations distributed millions worldwide. The technology was proven, cheap, and universally available. Then something curious happened. The van life industry simply never mentioned it. Van accessory companies never suggested you try blocking heat before it entered. Window cover manufacturers never acknowledged that a $1 blanket outperformed their $50 products. The solution existed. It worked. And an entire industry collectively decided to keep selling you the expensive alternative instead. But here's the catch that makes the difference between marginal improvement and dramatic transformation. Placement matters more than the material itself. Most van dwellers who try reflective barriers make the mistake of placing them inside their windows. This captures heat that has already entered through the glass. The glass absorbs solar energy, heats up, and radiates that warmth into your van. You have blocked radiant transfer, but allowed conductive transfer to continue. The correct technique is external application when possible. Reflective material placed on the outside of windows bounces solar radiation before it ever contacts the glass. The glass stays cool, the frame stays cool. Zero heat enters the system. For windshields and side windows where external application is difficult, internal placement still dramatically outperforms having nothing at all. Same $1 material, better results based purely on understanding how to use it. My grandmother always said she details separate success from almost. She was talking about her recipes, but the principle applies perfectly here. Here's what many van dwellers ask. Don't those expensive Reflectix window covers do the same thing? The answer is yes, they use the exact same principle. But here is what they do not tell you. Reflectix costs $8 to $15 per roll. Custom cut van window covers cost $40 to $80 per set. Emergency mylar blankets cost $1 and cover your entire windshield with material left over. The reflective coating works on the same principle. Reflectix adds a thin bubble layer, but for pure radiant heat blocking, emergency blankets deliver similar performance at a fraction of the price. A van dweller who cuts emergency blankets to fit their windows gets comparable results for 5% of the cost. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between surviving summer and going broke trying. Here's where the numbers become impossible for the van accessories industry to dispute. The Department of Energy has studied radiant barriers extensively. Their research confirms that reflective barriers significantly reduce solar heat gain through windows. For a van parked in direct summer sun, this means the difference between an interior that reaches 140 degrees and one that stays around 100 degrees. Still warm, but survivable. Still uncomfortable, but not deadly. Combined with ventilation from cracked windows or a small fan, reflective barriers can keep your van at or near outside ambient temperature instead of 40 to 50 degrees. Hotter. Van dwellers across hot climate states who have tested reflective barriers against expensive rooftop fans consistently report that the cheap solution matches or outperforms the expensive one for blocking radiant heat. Fans move air but do nothing to stop heat from entering. Reflective barriers stop the heat at the source. Stay with me because the applications extend throughout your entire van setup. Reflective barriers work anywhere. Solar radiation creates unwanted heat. Your windshield, your side windows, your rear windows, your skylight if you have one. Behind your roof, where sun beats down all day, whether you are cooling a van, a car, a tent, or an RV, the physics works exactly the same. Van dwellers who cover all their glass surfaces return to vehicles that are 15 to 25 degrees cooler than unprotected vans in the same parking lot. The steering wheel is touchable. The seats do not burn your legs. You can actually exist inside your van during daylight hours in summer. A $1 emergency blanket cut to fit your windows provides years of service and costs less than a single meal. Here's what the industry desperately hopes you never calculate. Van life accessory companies sell cooling solutions at massive markups. Rooftop fans run $200 to $400. Portable AC units cost $300 to $800 plus electricity to run. Custom window covers cost $50 to $100 per set. Ventilation systems cost hundreds plus installation. All of these solutions generate revenue for manufacturers and create ongoing expenses for you. A $1 emergency blanket generates revenue for nobody except you. It requires no installation appointment. It needs no electricity. It produces no noise. It solves your problem once and completely for the cost of a candy bar. The van accessories industry cannot build business models on $1 solutions. And in an economy where companies must demonstrate growth, a product that solves problems too cheaply is worse than a product that does not work at all. But I need to be completely honest with you about something important. Emergency blankets are not a complete solution for extreme heat. They block radiant heat brilliantly, but do not address humidity or the heat already stored in your van's metal body. In moderate climates with reasonable ventilation, reflective window barriers can absolutely make summer van life comfortable without any powered cooling. In extreme desert climates, they dramatically reduce cooling requirements, but work best combined with ventilation and smart parking choices. The honest claim is this: reflective barriers can drop your van interior temperature by 15 to 25 degrees with proper application. That range depends on how many windows you cover, whether you combine it with shade parking, and how well you ventilate. Anyone promising air-conditioned comfort in Death Valley summers from just emergency blankets is exaggerating. But anyone dismissing these barriers as ineffective is protecting an industry that profits from your continued spending. Here's exactly what to do with this knowledge. Go to any dollar store, camping supply store, or online retailer and purchase emergency mylar blankets. At dollar stores, they run about $1 each. Online multi-packs drop the price to under $1 per blanket. Buy 5 to 10 of them. Cut them to fit each window in your van. For your windshield, cut one blanket to size and use your sun visors to hold it in place. For side windows, cut pieces slightly larger than the window and use small suction cups or tape to secure them with the reflective side facing outward toward the sun. For rear windows, same process. Cover every piece of glass that receives direct sunlight. The entire process takes less than an hour and costs under $10 for complete coverage. The first hot day you return to a cool van instead of a rolling oven, you will understand what NASA knew 60 years ago and what the van accessories industry hopes you never discover. Van dwellers across hot climate states who have applied reflective barriers to all their windows consistently report interior temperatures 15 to 25 degrees cooler than before. Their vans become livable during daylight hours. Their sleep improves because the van does not store as much heat into the evening. Their only regret is not discovering this years earlier when summers of suffering convinced them van life in warm climates was impossible. So what have we learned? Cooling your van efficiently is not about buying more powerful fans or expensive air conditioning units. It is about understanding that blocking heat costs nothing while removing heat costs everything. It is NASA developing radiant barrier technology 60 years ago and proving it works in the most extreme conditions humans have ever faced. It is the Department of Energy confirming significant heat reduction with proper application. It is physics that cannot be argued with. Reflective surfaces bounce energy, dark surfaces absorb it. It is the math of multiple windows turning your van into an oven while expensive solutions drain your savings. It is a van accessories industry collectively deciding that a $1 solution should never be mentioned. It is emergency blankets sitting in camping aisles while overpriced window covers fill van life shop shelves. It is the thermal shield that NASA knew about, that experienced van dwellers depend on, and that the industry buried under layers of expensive alternatives. This knowledge did not disappear. It was waiting. In NASA technical archives from the 1960s, in Department of Energy research papers, in the packs of every serious van dweller who figured it out through trial and error, in dollar stores where nobody shopping for van cooling solutions would ever think to search. The astronauts knew, the long-term van dwellers knew, the researchers knew, the van accessories industry definitely knew. And now, so do you. The thermal shield is not complicated. $1, 1 hour of cutting and fitting, 15 to 25 degree temperature drop, no electricity, no engine running, no noise, no recurring costs for anyone except you. If this opens something for you, subscribe and share it with everyone who deserves to know what the industry spent decades hiding. Drop your own van cooling methods in the comments below. What techniques have kept you cool that nobody talks about? The best survival knowledge comes from people actually living it. Help someone else survive summer without going broke or giving up on van life. Van dwellers are remarkably creative when survival demands it, and frankly, that is pretty impressive.